disagree during the course of the year. But you know what? My hat is off to every single one of you in this room because you guys battled.
Four-man rush, he drops the throw. The Jags pressure. He fires to the right side, caught by Haskins. He's tackled well short of first down yardage. They're going to tackle him at the 44-yard line, and the ball's going to go over on down to Jacksonville.
It was always the Jags.
Listen, the bottom of my heart, I mean, I couldn't be more proud of a group of men. The way you guys listen, I'm like a broken record. It's hard to really express the words. The coaches, the players, you just trusted in each other. You trusted in me. You trusted in each other. And you were able to find a way. And that's what it takes.
An all-out blitz. They hit him as he lets it go. The ball comes out. The ball comes out and it's picked up. The Jags are running it back. The Jags are running it back. The Jags are going to run it into the end zone. Josh Allen scores a touchdown.
And listen, now that you're in the tournament, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay? What matters now is just handling your business one day at a time. We're going to celebrate this one. Okay? We're going to celebrate this one. I'm proud of you guys for the way you handled this week. I am. And, listen, you're AFC South champs, baby.
It was always the Jags.
Come on, somebody!
This boy got a hit.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your host Tony Smith, Mike DeRocco, and E to the T.
Oh my goodness, probably won't ever happen quite the same way as it did for the Jags in 2022 again, with the big comebacks coming down the stretch of the season to take down the hated Tennessee Titans the way that they did in the fourth quarter with that turnover and the fumble return by Josh Allen to finally put the nail in the coffin there against the Tennessee Titans and clinch the AFC South for this football team. I think that they can achieve bigger things than the divisional round of the playoffs at some point under Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, but it probably won't ever come quite the same way as it did in 2022 with the way the second half of that season went, especially. And I'm a little bit jealous for all the fans out there that you got to be a part of it, man. Like a big part of what they were doing with that. We'll see how much time they will or won't be here at some point in the near future with the stadium refurbishment idea being put out there yesterday. Joined today for Jaguars Today by Mike DeRocco. What's going on, D-Rock?
Not much. Just not a whole lot going on with the Jags in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I know you had the chance to sit down with Mark Lamping yesterday, and so you'll have a much more inside scoop than I have about everything that's going on with that. And we'll get into that, obviously, as we go throughout the show this morning and the different options that they have, the town hall meetings coming up next week. So whatever you hear about what's going on with this, if you're part of this community, get out there and let your voice be heard. They're saying they want to hear from you, right? So we'll see exactly how that works out next week. Let's say hello to E.T. as well. What's going on, E?
What to do, my boy?
How'd this morning go?
Light work.
All right.
Something like nothing special, a little razzle-dazzle.
Yeah, a little bit different.
A little different.
With the drill this morning.
A little different dynamic, but there's always one thing that remains constant.
And that is?
Your boy. Come on, somebody.
E.T. is the man. Mike Dempsey on assignment. He'll be back with us next week, and we'll start where we were just at there, D-Rock. Just what were your big kind of takeaways from the conversation that you got to have with Lamping yesterday?
This is an ambitious project that should, if is approved, should revitalize that whole downtown area, sports complex area, that could turn that whole thing with the shipyards into, the hottest place to be.
They've had those kind of designs for
a
while.
Yeah. And that's what I caution people. Someone asked me last night, what do you think? And I'm like, the renderings of the stadium are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But they're renderings. Because renderings never, well, I shouldn't say never. The renderings don't always match the final product. I think we've seen that here before, obviously, with Daly's Place, the original renderings. This facility doesn't look anything like that, but doesn't mean it's not a good facility. But look, if you're the Jags, why are you not shooting for the moon? Like, if you're going to sit there and propose the stadium of the future, well, then you might as well ask for the moon, and you might as well make it the nicest thing in the league. I mean, I have still not been to the Vegas Stadium, been to SoFi. I have not been to Minneapolis. So that's another one, a recently constructed one, I guess recent, that I haven't seen. But SoFi is wow, really nice, and I'm eager to see the Vegas Stadium. But if that is indeed what happens, and it's kind of close to that, that might be one of the 2 or 3 nicest stadiums in the league. And it's a ambitious project, $1.3 to $1.4 billion. It's going to be an interesting 6 to 8 months. Kind of trying to figure out how this goes down and what the opposition will be, and whether the final product, if approved, will look anything similar.
Yeah, I know. We were on the air yesterday as all of that was being put out by the team, right? So we didn't have a chance to react to anything that anybody was really saying, even at the time. And really, that came out later in the afternoon. Lamping was talking to multiple members of the media at different times throughout the day about what the plan was and answering some questions. So when we were on yesterday morning, I was basically in the camp of, it looks gorgeous, right? Like, it's 21st century NFL coming to Jacksonville. It's, as I discussed, it's not like the stadium they currently have is historical, right? So it's not like you're going to be upset if they're moving out of Lambeau whenever they do this, right? Like,
yes.
It's not that kind of thing, and they would never make this kind of refurbishment in Lambeau or Soldier Field if they're going to keep playing there. We'll see what winds up happening with the Chicago Bears. There's some leverage being played up there in that area right now about what they're doing in the stadium, but it doesn't have that kind of historical nature to it. I think, you can see the fan base reacting over the course of the last day, and really over the last 2-3 years when this has really been put in the air, that eventually this is something that they're going to have to do, that they're now having the debate within the fan base over whether 4 years playing in a construction site is preferable to 2 years away, whether that be in Gainesville or Orlando, whatever they think that looks like ultimately, which, again, is part of what the town hall stuff is going to be about next week, is for the team to at least hear what the fans in the community think about this, because there's no consensus that I've seen, among the Jaguars fans that I interact with on a daily basis about which of those options even they would prefer at this point. I mean, 4 years playing in a building is under construction while you're in it, that's not a small deal, but it would be here. And, for me, I probably lean towards that for me personally. Like, if I was a fan, I think that would be the direction I'd want to see it go. I just want to see my team. Right? Especially in what could be going into the prime years of Trevor Lawrence, right? Like, I don't like the idea of having to travel to Orlando for 2 years to go see the team. If I'm a season ticket holder, especially, like, that would be, for me, I'd be going to the town hall meeting and saying, 4 years through the construction, what's it cost? I'm paying for the season tickets.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
It's an additional $190 million over the cost of the stadium, according to Mark Lamping, team president. So if they did that 4-year option, that would cost almost $200 million more, because of construction costs and supplies and all that other stuff, which obviously keeps increasing every year. If it's, from my standpoint, as someone who's not a fan, I would my thinking is get it done as quick as possible and go ahead and take
Totally
it to take it to Gainesville, take it to whatever for 2 years, have an additional London game, whatever you want to do, but get it done and get it ready to go. 4 years is a long, long time. And we don't know what the capacity of the stadium would be.
Right.
If they were to play here during it. And it could, vary per year based on what they have to do and when they have to do it. Now, 2 years is what it takes to build a stadium. And it's a renovation. It is a renovation. And people think, okay, that should basically take a little less time. But the bottom line is this is a down to the studs, maybe even ripping some studs out and going to the foundation kind of renovation. So it's a 2-year deal. I would, look, I don't want to get in the car and drive to Orlando 16, 17, 20 times, however many times it is. I get from the fan standpoint, like especially if you're playing a playoff game and or hosting the AFC Championship game, you want that bad boy right in your city. I get it. But that's an additional $200 million. And
It's a cost.
I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, is the city, the other thing is, well, it's a $2 billion project. What's $200 more million? I guess you could look at it that way. Now we're talking monopoly funny money here because while we say billion, I don't think we really have a concept of how much money $1 billion is. You know, so saying, it's $2 billion, just add 0.2 more billion to that thing, $200 million. But that they can't play at UNF. And they can't play at the baseball grounds.
No.
That's $125 million. So if you go to get those stadiums, either one of those stadiums, up to NFL standards and more seats, having the infrastructure to support an NFL TV broadcast, an NFL game. So, at that point, if that's what you'd rather do, then you might as well just go ahead and spend the $190 and do it over 4 years. Of course, it's not my money. So, you know what I mean? I don't know what the city is gonna do there.
Yeah, all that with the caveat that it's not my money.
Right.
It's
and I live in Clay County, as a lot of people know. So in theory, if it's not my money ever.
Yeah.
Although who knows how they would fund this? I mean, I don't know all the intricacies of that at this point.
Well, I'm in Duval County, so they'd get me somehow, I think, on whatever's going to happen with this stadium. Yeah. But I'm in favor of the Jags figuring out whatever this stadium's going to be. Right, and whether that be the 2-year plan, the 4-year plan, that whatever it is, it's the plan, and that a refurbished stadium is coming to Jacksonville, Florida, right? Like, I am 100% in favor of that being the ultimate result of that. And then all these people that have been saying the Jags are moving to London for the past 15 years can shut up, right? If they have a new refurbished stadium.
It won't stop, though.
No,
I mean, I say that, and you say that, but we all know it won't stop.
I actually had I did an interview with SiriusXM NFL a couple weeks ago, and they didn't ask me about London. And it was right after all that stuff was reheated up, right? Because of the stadium stuff. It was like, well, they're not going to be able to play there for 2 years, right? Like that kind of thing. And they didn't ask me about it. They just asked me about Jaguars football, which apparently is good enough to just carry a conversation on a national
been a while
radio
since
show.
That's been the case nationally.
Yeah, it was kind of nice to see that kind of thing. Our question of the day today brought to you by Chad and Sandy Real Estate. Speaking of Jacksonville Jaguars football, is outside of Trevor Lawrence, what Jaguars player will have the biggest impact on the Jaguars 2023 season? We'll discuss that as we go throughout the show today. Want to get your reaction, D-Rock, to some of the questions of the day we've had this week, specifically talking about what a couple of the contract decisions they're going to have to make could look like and what would push the Jaguars in the direction of making specific offers. I put numbers to it to say, what would it take for you to be comfortable with the Jaguars making this offer to Josh Allen, this offer to Calvin Ridley? We'll get your answer to that today as well. But the question of the day, outside of Trevor Lawrence, what Jaguars player will have the biggest impact on the Jaguars 2023 season? We're off and rolling. It's a Thursday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010 XL.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Studios.
JOI, where the pros go.
Hi, this is Dave Barker with IHRS. If you're looking for a real solution to your thinning hair or hair loss, call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS.
What's causing your hair to fall out? Can your hair grow back? Get to the root of your problem with IHRS Hair and Scalp Analysis. This analysis magnifies your hair and scalp 400 times to see what procedures can restore your hair. Call right now for your free analysis, 904-777-IHRS, or visit hairforme.com. Stop wasting money on solutions that don't work. IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years. They are the only clinic to offer the trademarked multi-unit hair grafting PRP platelet-rich plasma and the NeoGraft FUE hair transplant procedure.
Schedule your free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 904-777-IHRS or visit hair4me.com. Hairforme.com.
Hi, everybody. Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. How about breakfast from Dandy? If you're driving around, it's early, maybe you haven't eaten this morning, or maybe you have and you just really like breakfast. Well, swing into an area gate station because Dandy's got you covered. On that menu, think of all the great breakfast items that they include, including buttermilk biscuits, soft flaky croissants, French toast, light tasty maple waffles, sizzling country sausage, Black Forest ham, thick sliced bacon. Don't forget the peppered fried eggs, creamy Wisconsin cheddar cheese. Man, I can't name everything that Dandy's serving up, but I don't have to. Swing into the gate, head to the fresh case, and it's all on display for you. You know it's going to be made with the highest quality ingredients. Whatever variety you're looking for, breakfast, some of the great classic sandwiches and subs that Dandy's been serving you for, 60-plus years at this point in time. Food on the go, Dandy's a name to know in Duval and all over the First Coast. So when you're hungry and you're out and about, whether it's breakfast time or anytime, do what I do. Go out and make yours a dandy, and do it today.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. We're your local family jeweler for 46 years in Jacksonville with a huge selection of diamonds, gemstones, and pre-owned Rolex watches. And Monahan Jewelers is your store for expert jewelry repair turned around in 1 or 2 days. Most jewelry stores take 2 weeks or more, and many stores send your jewelry somewhere else for repair. At Monahan Jewelers, our jewelry repair is done in-house by expert craftsmen, and Monahans can turn around most repairs in a day or two. So bring your jewelry repair to Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
You will love your new custom windows and doors from Renewal by Anderson. For a limited time, get 20% off windows, patio doors, and installation. Plus, no money down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months. Enjoy the beauty and quality that only Renewal by Anderson offers. This offer expires June 30th and restrictions apply. Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com.
License number CGC 1527613.
Saturday, June 24th, the UFC returns to Jacksonville. The heavy-handed Josh Emmett looks to turn back undefeated phenom Ilia Topuria, plus dangerous Brazilian Amanda Ribas takes on the future Macy Barber. Don't miss UFC Fight Night, Emmett versus Topuria, live from VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
I insist on complete honesty.
You can chime in anytime on the 1010XL text line.
Installed by Lifetime Flooring.
If you have something to say to me, I wish you would just say it.
Share your opinion.
Are you nuts? What?
641-1010.
It's crazy.
This is Coach Ellen Darley of Darley's Plumbing with my thoughts about the new rules in baseball. I won't miss the infield shift, and bigger bases are nice, but I'm most excited about the new pitch timer. That should speed up the game, but could also lead to more balks, especially since there's at least 13 different ways a pitcher can balk. And if you're balking at the high cost of good plumbing work, call my team at Darley's Plumbing, where quality counts. We're online at darleysplumbing.com. License number CFC 056702.
We've been telling you for almost a year about Nathan's Family Chiropractic and the 100-Year Lifestyle Network. If chronic back or joint pain is keeping you down, don't listen to me. Listen to what Jacksonville is saying about Dr. Alan Nathans.
The stem cell treatment took the pain away.
Changed my life. It's awesome.
Your body just works better when it's aligned. We're believers.
His no-needle regenerative protocols are giving people their lives back. Get yours back, too. Go to the pro in the know. Don't do another cortisone injection. He's one of us helping all of us for the past 25 years. For more info, drnathans.com.
Summer is here, so while you're at the beach or on your bike, head on down to Sliders Oyster Bar in Neptune Beach, where you'll find the absolute freshest seafood in all of the 904. The biggest shrimp, the saltiest oysters, the freshest fish, all here at our newly renovated restaurant in Neptune Beach. Fresh seafood delivered daily by Safe Harbor, straight from the boat to your plate. Unique oyster specials daily, along with mixed cocktails from the bar. Come enjoy this beach vibe. Sliders Oyster Bar in Neptune Beach, locally owned by Safe Harbor Seafood.
For some people, waking up is the hardest part of the day.
It's 0600. What's the O stand for? Oh, it's early.
That's why Dan and Jeff energize your morning.
Oh, yes!
Like an energy drink without the crash. The Drill. Mornings on 1010XL. Jaguars Today on 1010XL. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
D-Rock must be here. I don't know when you did this to yourself.
I seem to get in trouble opening my mouth on this show a lot.
Whenever you're around a producer, you got to be careful of what you say and what you do.
Especially that producer in there.
That's right.
I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world.
No, I suppose not.
You know, I don't want to mention what songs could be worse, but it's
There's probably a few, yeah.
Considering the last 30 seconds of conversation, no, I will not go in that direction with it. D-Rock, E.T., Tony Smith here with you as we get it going here on a Thursday here on Jaguars Today. Mike Dempsey on assignment.
Go Jacksonville.
Come on, somebody!
For the rest of the week.
Can we get a jerk? I know we got the jerk in there.
Yeah, it's in there
Jerk.
somewhere.
There we go.
There it is. And we've had a couple of questions of the day talking about players trying to earn a contract this year for this team. And I'm curious to see how they want to handle this going into looking ahead to next offseason, right? We've mentioned it before that Josh Allen's playing on the 5th-year option. Calvin Ridley's playing on the 5th-year option. I'm convinced that Evan Ingram's going to be playing on a franchise tag at this point. We'll see if they get something done here in the next month or so, a little bit over a month.
17th, July 17th is the deadline for them to have a long-term deal worked out.
Yeah.
So if they don't have it worked out by then.
Yeah. It feels likely to me that they're going to have at least those 3 guys that are going to be coming off contracts, and your options are going to be to use a tag, figure out the extension next offseason, or let them walk. Right? Like, it does feel like with all 3 of those guys, that's going to be the position they're in, and we can discuss how they should prioritize those things. But I asked a couple days ago, the question of the day was, what kind of season would Josh Allen need to have for you as a fan to feel comfortable if the Jaguars offered him 4 years, $80 million? Woo. Next offseason, which would put him at 9th in average annual value. Now, that 9th will actually go down to probably something closer to 10, 11, 12 by the time he's even signing it with Nick Bosa getting his deal. Like, there'll be different deals that are going to be coming in, right?
This year, right now, there's only 4 guys making 20-plus per year, average per year.
Yeah. So
outside linebackers.
Yeah, that number will come down a little bit. I think I was looking at it where it was just the edge guys.
Okay.
Right, so they included some defensive ends, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at 3-4 outside linebackers.
No, totally. And so, and it was looking at the list of guys, and we went over it a few days ago, right? The players that would be getting more than 20 are the cream of the crop in the league, and it should be that way, right? It's T.J. Watt and Joey Bosa and Myles Garrett and Max Crosby, who just got his deal, right? It's Von Miller, I think, was at the bottom of that kind of list, and then there was a break, right? From 20, and the next highest paid, I think, was 17.5 a year. It was Harold Landry, I think, was the next one on that list. But then I went through the list of that, like, the guys that were in that Landry kind of range, right? And it was Landry and Cameron Jordan, who's a really good player. Draymond Jones, Eric Armstead was in that group. Shaq Barrett, Chandler Jones, Emmanuel Ogbah, Zach Allen just got paid something like 15, a little bit over 15 a year. Trey Hendrickson is getting 15 a year. Carl Lawson, and I think it was Hassan Reddick was the complete list there. And as we said when we went over it a couple days ago, Reddick's underpaid right now for the value that he brings, right? But I think you go through all those guys that are getting that 15 to 17.5, and basically it's like, yeah, Josh Allen deserves to get paid with that group of guys. Do I think that he should be getting paid $25 million a year? No. But I think he should be getting paid at or above the level of those guys that we just talked about. So I think 4 years, $80 million is pretty fair from a league perspective, even offer for a guy like Josh Allen. I'll pull this up in a minute too. I saw an article that related to this a little bit yesterday. But for you, D-Rock, what kind of season would Josh Allen have to get that 4-year, $80 million offer? And would it be something that you'd be comfortable with now if they made it this offseason?
Probably not this offseason.
Okay.
I think that's a little high for what he's accomplished. But if he comes in and he's at 10, he's got to have double-digit sacks.
Okay.
For me, to start thinking about offering him $20 million a year. And is he's capable of that. But then the question also becomes, okay, so wait a minute. So you have your best year in the contract year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Why did it coincide with that? Is that a question that the team will have? Or is it, okay, well, if he has 10 sacks, then that means to me that Trayvon Walker had a really, really good year and might be up in that double-digit sack number too, or pretty darn close to it.
Okay.
So then you start wondering, okay, how much of this is because of Trayvon? But at that point, you got 2 double-digit sack guys, which based on the pass rush history here in the last, since 2017, 2018, it's been pretty abysmal. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm looking at, our system, the ESPN's salary system here, and I was just, like I said, looking at the 3-4 outside linebackers.
Sure.
And you got guys like Matt Judon is making just like over 13.6.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got, like you said, Carl Lawson at 15, Randy Gregory at 14, Shaq Barrett's at 17. I would be comfortable if right now I would think if I were saying what kind of number would I think that would be good would be something that the Jags would be willing to offer, and certainly the number that Josh Allen might consider taking would be in that 15 to 20 year range at this point right now, going in this offseason.
Sure.
But if he's got double-digit sacks, then the number, and maybe that's the Jags' thought of, let's.
They're obviously waiting on it,
right?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get him in a little cheaper than what we would get afterwards. But then you also have to expect Josh Allen to think, well, I can get more.
Yeah. Look, and I'm curious to see. We aren't privy to what those discussions have already looked like, right? And I'm sure the team has approached Josh Allen to at least discuss what a long-term deal would look like with him, right? And they just haven't been able to meet at whatever they both feel is fair to this point. So he's playing under the 5th-year option. I'd be curious to know what that number of the offer actually probably was, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if it was something more in that, 4 years, $60 million. I know, like, the hang-up right now up with the Jets and Quinnen Williams is that Williams wants a 4-year deal. The Jets want him for 5, right? That's the holdup that they have right now up there in that negotiation. Who knows if years came into play, with whatever's going on and the Jags and Josh not being able to get something done yet. I saw yesterday on NFL.com that Nick Shook put up an article, Next Gen Stats, top 10 disruptors of 2022. And so I was like,
Josh is on that list.
I'm curious, right? And so I went and looked. He wasn't in the top 10, but he was in the just missed, right? So he wasn't in the top 10, but in the just missed with these names: Max Crosby, Zadarius Smith, Josh Sweat, Sam Hubbard, Dexter Lawrence, Khalil Mack, Josh Allen. The other players that were mentioned, if you took out the...
Like what is, because in pressure percentage, I thought he was in the top 5.
Yeah. The stats that they break out here are pressures, the pressure rate, hurries, sacks, and I'm not sure quite what TOQBP is, but maybe turnover, quarterback pressures, something like that.
What is it?
TOQBP.
Yeah, let me find that out.
Yeah, TOQBP. Not quite sure what that is, but the top 10 were Quinnen Williams, Brian Burns, Matt Judon, Javon Hargrave, Alex Highsmith was in at 6, Chris Jones at 5, Hassan Reddick 4, Myles Garrett 3, Nick Bosa 2, and number 1 was Micah Parsons. So this list obviously included interior guys that are playing defensive end on that list as well, right? It's just disruptors. If you were just looking at outside linebackers, that I think that if you're reading through that list, Josh Allen's basically top 6, 7, like pressure guy in the league from that position, like disruptive force from that position in the league. I like the more numbers I've looked at over the course of the last few days since having asked the question, the more strongly I feel about what I said when I asked it. I'd have done it now, right? Like the 4 years, 80, I would have been comfortable making that offer to Josh Allen now. I went back and looked at the way he ended his season last year. He had a sack in 4 of the final 5 games of the year. He had a sack in the first playoff game against the Chargers. And I feel like Josh is capable of more than we've seen, right? Like I don't think that 7.5 is necessarily what we should expect out of a player the caliber of Josh Allen. But I do think the disruptive stats were there for him. And I went back and watched the season in review, that the Jags put up, the sounds of the season for the whole year that they put up. And I counted one defensive play that they included in that highlight reel that didn't have Josh Allen at or near the play, right? He was involved in basically every big defensive play the team made all year last year. I'm not saying that they made enough big defensive plays, but every single one of them they made, essentially, Josh Allen was some part of it outside of the Trayvon Walker interception in week 1. I think that was the only one I saw where it wasn't him basically making the play for him on the defensive side. So the more I think about it, D-Rock, the more I feel comfortable. If they were 4 years, $80 million, sure. Right? Like, I think I'd be comfortable with that, especially with the money going up the way that it's going to go up here over the next few years.
So TOQBP is turnovers caused by quarterback pressure, by the way, which sort of makes sense because that's the letters they use.
Yeah.
I looked among, next-gen stats among the edge rushers, and the quarterback pressure percentage, which, just to make sure we're all good there, is the total number of pressures divided by the total number of pass rush snaps.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh is at 15.3, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th in the league.
Okay.
And the guys ahead of him, believe it or not, who led the league in quarterback percentage, pressure percentage?
Arden Key.
Dante Fowler. Even worse.
No way.
Yeah. Dante Fowler, Trey Hendrickson, and Micah Parsons.
Uh-huh.
Now, I made the pass rush snaps numbers 300.
Yeah.
If we want to just go to a minimum of 500 defensive snaps, to kind of weed it out a little bit more, then, it's Trey Hendrickson, Micah Parsons, and Josh Allen is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th in that, which is probably a better number of snaps there.
Yeah.
So, look, he does affect the quarterback. He doesn't finish enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that coaches will talk about affecting the quarterback, making the guy move, maybe someone else gets a sack or whatever, causing him to throw a half second early or whatever is important, but you got to finish. Mm-hmm. And if the last visual I have of this Jaguars defense is Patrick Mahomes limping around on one leg.
I get it. Yeah.
And not only not getting him down, but very, very, very rarely causing him to alter a throw, to throw early. They just didn't impact him enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the last visual I have, and that was this team's biggest weakness going into the offseason. I think we all agreed, or one of, and they still haven't addressed it.
Yeah, I think I get all the arguments against offering the 4 years, $80 million to this point, and I expected and did feel like I was in the minority position saying that I would have already offered it, right, to Josh Allen. I don't think that is the popular position with Josh Allen right now, and I understand all the reasons, right? Like the things you just laid out. He hadn't had a double-digit sack season since his rookie year, right? I get all those kind of arguments for it, but I do look at the metrics on Josh Allen, and I say if you got him at 4 years, $80 million, I think by the time you got to the end of that deal, you'd feel like you got a bargain for Josh Allen, is what I think would ultimately happen with it. None of this is for sure, right? Like none of these guys, you give them the money, it's like, well, we're locked in now that he's absolutely going to give us this. It's not like anyone's ever signed a big money contract and disappointed, right? Like that never happens.
Well, and look, Josh is a good player. I don't want to give the implication that that he's not. He's a good player. He's not a number one pass rusher on a team right now. I think he's a number 2, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the other thing we have to remind ourselves, too, is that, look, the numbers are going to keep going up for those guys. So you might say, well, Josh Allen's not a $20 million a year pass rusher. Well, 2 years from now, he probably will be at 10 sacks a game because those numbers are going to keep going up.
Yeah.
The salary cap's going to rise significantly. So part of it is the $20 million a year, locking it in a little early to make sure that you're not killing yourself later salary cap wise.
Yeah.
And look, if it's a 4-year deal, it'll be a deal they can get out of after the 3rd year. That is generally how these all work.
Yeah, if
you
not
know,
2.
if it's a 3-year deal, you can get out after 2.
Yeah.
That's generally how all these deals work. So, you know, I'm eager. You know, Josh is supposed to be at mandatory minicamp next week, and I'm really eager to talk to him and find out where his head's at, what he's thinking, if they've talked to him contract-wise, and what his reasoning for to not be at any of the voluntary, which is totally his right. And I'm not criticizing him for not being there. It is voluntary. But I'm interested to see, it was him and Evan Ingram were the only guys. You know, Cam Robinson missed the first one that we were able to see, but has been back since. They were the only guy. We know why Ingram wasn't there. He's not under contract. So let's just see what Josh has to say about that. Because I'm just
Evan,
interested.
sign a waiver and let's go.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. Like, it's not like – I think a lot of people have in their head, oh, he's not at the voluntary workout. He's sitting on a beach somewhere. No, these guys are still working.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And the team's been in constant contact with him. I'm just really interested to hear what he has to say next week.
Yeah, it would be a story if he's not here for the mandatory minicamp.
It would be a fine if he's not here for the mandatory minicamp, too.
Assuming that they have one next week, which it sounds
some
like
version of whatever they're going to do.
Yeah, whatever's going to happen. Last year, obviously, they decided to not have the 3-day mandatory minicamp, but no word about any of that has come down yet. As regarding the 3-day minicamp next week, teams across the league, some of them started them this week, you know, had their mandatory minicamps. Miami had the issue with Connor Williams not showing up. So, you know, it's a story when one of your starters is not going to be there for the mandatory minicamp and the coach is going to a podium and saying, he didn't talk to us about it.
Yeah, I don't know where he is.
Yeah, he's just not here. Then it becomes a bit of a story, but I'm with you. This time of year, it's voluntary. It's one of the few concessions the players have won in their discussions with the league over the years here, is that this portion of the offseason is mandatory. You have a 3-day mandatory minicamp, and you got to be there for training camp. You don't have a choice on when you report for training camp. You show up when they tell you training camp begins.
Right.
Is when you show up, or you face the fines for that kind of thing. But this portion of the offseason, it's voluntary. So players who exercise that voluntary option, cool. You know, and we'll see you for the mandatory portion, hopefully, which I think we will with Josh Allen. I don't have a whole lot of concern with him not
Now, the
showing
question
up.
will be, like, last year Peterson cut the veterans loose, and he had it for the rookies and any veteran that was coming back from an injury.
Yep.
Like Travis Etienne was there last year.
Yep.
I'm trying to think who else. Oh, a guy like Laviska Shenault was there last year.
Yeah, he was on this team last year.
Yeah. How soon we forget, Tony. So, like, I'm expecting, if that's what he does, I'm expecting, like, Calvin Ridley to still kind of be there.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Doug may just decide to cut them all loose, and they just show up on Monday, couple of meetings, hey, here's some ice cream, have a good lunch, let's go out there and run around, and we'll just do one day. I mean, there's no telling what he's going to do.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's talk a similar kind of question that we were just discussing with Josh Allen in that contract. We asked about Calvin Ridley yesterday. Instead of 4 years, $80 million, to bump it up a little bit because of the position that he's playing at and what they're getting paid. I asked 4 years, $84 million for Calvin Ridley. What kind of season would he have to have for you to feel comfortable with the Jags offering that kind of deal? When we get into next year's offseason, we'll discuss that. Mike DeRocco, ET, here with Tony Smith as we continue along. It's a Thursday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010 XL.
You're listening to Jaguars Today on the home of the Jags. 1010 XL, 92.5 FM.
Give kids lifelong summer memories at Mackenzie's Camp Deep Pond, hosted by Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida. Give the gift of a safe, unforgettable summer by sponsoring a kid for camp for only $100 at tinyurl.com/deeppond2023.
Want a low down payment and a low monthly payment on your next ride? Then you've got to go to Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Mia here. Right now, you can buy a pre-owned 2019 Toyota Corolla for just $1,000 down and $288 a month. Or you choose a pre-owned 2020 Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma for just $1,000 down and $388 a month. With over 400 used in stock plus more than 100 vehicles under $18,000, don't wait. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online at arlingtontoyota.com.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
No dental insurance? No problem. Introducing the Care Plus program from the dental offices of Dr. James McCall. For only $625 per year, you will receive 2 cleanings and dental exams, a full set of x-rays, plus 1 emergency dental exam and x-ray. You'll also receive a 20% discount on all other services offered. Kids 12 and under will receive the same program for only $525. Call Dr. McCall today at 620-9225.
Football season may be over, but Mia's Quick Hits isn't going anywhere, and it's still driven by my friends at Arlington Toyota. Join me for my Monday morning Quick Hits plus college hoops breakdowns during the week, only on the video and social channels of 1010XL.
Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying. They can also signal a major problem or electrical emergency. So leave it to the pros and Mr. Sparky.
888 Sparky.
Your on-time electrician, Mr. Sparky of the First Coast.
If you're often tired, have trouble exercising, or your heartbeat feels irregular, you might have atrial fibrillation, or AFib. Left untreated, AFib can put a strain on your heart and increase your risk of a stroke. But the new Heart Rhythm Center at Baptist Health can help. With the latest treatment options for heart disorders like AFib, our team of specialists can get you feeling stronger again. Learn more at baptistjacks.com/AFib or call 904-202-2342.
Great free agent signings come from doing your homework. Selecting a roofing contractor takes the same hard work. Preferred Roofing has a great track record and a Master Elite certification. A free agent you can trust and know you'll get your money's worth. And remember this, Preferred Roofing guarantees to educate their customers on such a big decision as replacing a roof. Let their consultants help you make an informed choice that you're sure to feel good about. Master Elite certified contractors, Preferred Roofing is who you need. Tell them Joe C. sent you.
Did you know that many cooling companies are now part of big conglomerates with no connection to Northeast Florida? In the past, they have concentrated on heating and air conditioning, but after a buyout, many add plumbing and electrical services. This raises their overhead, and those costs are passed on to the consumer. It's a case where bigger isn't better, it's just more expensive. Not Mike Merritt's Heating and Air. Mike Merritt remains family-owned and operated. Merritt's focus has been the same for more than 30 years, keeping Northeast Florida comfortable, no matter what the weather. And there are no overtime or weekend surcharges. Mike Merritt's team does not work on commission. They repair only what needs repair and offer replacements only on what can't be fixed. And unlike at giant corporations where you can feel like just another number, with Mike Merritt, you'll feel like number one. Florida license CACO 50384.
Superior Fence and Rail knows about exceptional customer service. From the first call to the final inspection, Superior's team provides first-class care with great communication, friendly installers, and quality fence products. There's a reason why Superior is the top-rated fence company in Jacksonville. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail for your new fence today.
When you're on the fence about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
This is Hayes Carline for First Florida Credit Union. I bank with First Florida Credit Union because I trust them. I can always count on them when it comes to the vast services they provide. They were fantastic in setting up my car loan. I've never had a bad experience, and I've banked with them for years. I trust First Florida Credit Union. I go to the branch off 210 in St. Johns County and the new Durbin location, but they have 10 branches in the Jacksonville area. You need to be banking with First Florida Credit Union. They're enriching people every day. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
If you want to get into broadcasting, 1010XL is partnering with the Broadcasters and Sportscasters Mentoring Group to offer on-air broadcast training to a select few. Find out how you can be mentored at getintobroadcasting.com. GetIntoBroadcasting.com.
Open early and open late. Dailies is always there, making things easy for you to cruise in and cruise out. So hit Dailies Cold Case the next time you're craving a cold one. Bud Light by the case, plus plenty of singles to choose from. Corona, to the king of beers, to Stella or a Natty. They're all cold at Dailies.
Remember the days of Baselli, Brunell, Jimmy, and Keenan?
Mark Brunell with a masterful run.
Jaguars pride forever. 1010XL. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars today on 1010XL.
Now's our time. You know, we've been tracking towards this. We all know how long these projects take. You know, we know we've got our lease that's expiring. We've done all the work. The city's growing. The Jaguars are ascending. We have, new leadership in the mayor's office. Now's Jacksonville's time.
Jaguars today
on 1010XL.
Those the words of Mark Lamping, who I'm sure we're going to hear from a few times here over
the next 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That will not be the last time you hear from him, as the business of getting a stadium refurbishment done really started in earnest a few years ago, but the announcement for what their plans might look like were put out yesterday. So there's something more tangible to attach to all of this, and price tags are starting to be attached, plans being discussed about what that looks like, obviously, for where the Jags will be playing and for how long, those kind of things. If you're going to have that kind of deal going down where you're redoing the stadium, they're going to play somewhere, right? The NFL seasons aren't getting canceled because the Jags don't have a home. They'll have to figure something out in the meantime. So we'll see what that looks like. But all that beginning in earnest here just yesterday with Mr. Lamping. We'll see what that looks like long term for the plan for this. Mentioned before we got to the break, we discussed Josh Allen, 4 years, $80 million. Calvin Ridley, I put it at 4 years, 84, which would put him in the same kind of slot among his position group, right? Was essentially what I was shooting for. That kind of top 10-ish player contract. That would be in line with that for Calvin Ridley, 4 years, $84 million. I don't know if at the end of this year, if the Jags would prefer to go 3 instead of 4 or 5 instead of 4. I don't know exactly what that would look like, but 4 years, $84 million is what I ultimately landed on. So $21 million a year. What kind of season do you think Calvin Ridley would have to have for the Jags to offer that kind of money?
1,100 to 1,200 yards, probably, give or take a little bit. And then, 8, 9 touchdowns, which are completely doable with this offense. Completely doable. And you could have him and Christian Kirk with similar numbers, to be honest with you, in this offense. I think, I don't know if we've discussed it before, but I think 5,000 yards with the way this offense can operate and the weapons they have there is not out of the realm of possibility by any means for Trevor Lawrence. 30-plus touchdowns and 5,000 yards. So if he's hitting those numbers, then I think that's a totally reasonable expectation for Calvin Ridley. And he's not going to get Devontae Adams money, which is ridiculous in terms of the average. He's $28 million a year, topped only by Tyreek Hill. The 20. I would expect if Calvin Ridley puts up those kind of numbers, I would think Calvin Ridley wants to be in the top 3, top 5.
Probably
paid receivers. So which would, you'd be looking at $25+ million a year. It's going to be, and then you'll have to deal with, it's either him, Josh Allen, like you said, or Evan Ingram will be playing on the franchise tag next year, I would assume.
Yeah.
In 2024. I think the most likely to play on that tag, honestly, would probably be Ridley if he has a monster year.
Mm-hmm. What are the projected numbers for the tags next year?
Well, the projected number, I think the franchise tag this year is, what is it?
Let's see. The franchise tag this year.
18.4.
Yeah.
So you're probably looking at 19 to 20 in there.
I'm looking on over the cap, projecting into 2024. Wide receiver, they project the franchise number to be 23.45.
That much?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I assume Josh Allen would be a linebacker.
Or an edge. Do they separate it?
No, they got linebacker and defensive end, which is interesting. Linebacker is 20.06. Defensive end, they projected at 24.4. Right? So there's a $4.5 million difference between how you categorize these guys. Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's an outside linebacker is what he is. So that's what he'd get.
Yeah, I don't know with that kind of challenge. That would be interesting.
What's the tight end projected
tight
number?
end is 13.6. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
way less.
Yeah. I don't think they would be franchising Evan Ingram next year.
I don't either.
Especially if Brenton Strange has a really good rookie year. You feel good about that going forward. So, yeah, I think that's why I think the Evan Ingram deal will get done close to the deadline of July 17th.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, though, even in light of that conversation we just had, right, and where those numbers might be. And I think if it is, trying to get closer to that 25, if you're Calvin Ridley, the odds are if they're going to make that kind of offer, it's probably 3 years instead of 4.
Right.
Would be my guess. But
yeah, because Calvin Ridley's going to turn 29 in December.
Right. And so the wide receiver tag there is 23.4, right? So that's a little bit under that 25, right? So they may look at it and say, well, we're actually kind of saving $1 million on this thing. If you're tagging Josh Allen as an outside linebacker, so he gets the linebacker money, that's 20, right?
Which
is
you
right
just
at
offered
what
him.
we
You
just
offered him that,
right? It's right at that number if he wins whatever claim that he's actually a defensive end, right? Like the way they use him is primarily as a defensive end. It's not linebacker, right? Like that kind of thing. I don't know if he could win that kind of argument, but if he did, the number would jump up to 24.5.
This is a lot.
Right.
A lot.
So I think if that happened, they'd probably go the direction of using it on Calvin Ridley. I think that would sway the argument in that direction. I don't know what they would do if it was 23.5 with Calvin Ridley and 20 for Josh Allen. Like if that was the decision they were having to make between the two of them.
Well,
they had to get one or the other.
They pushed a lot of money into the future with the renegotiation of all those guys' deals in the offseason here.
Yeah.
But they also know that the cap is going to be going up.
Absolutely.
Pretty significantly over the next couple of years. I'm trying to find what their cap space would be in 2024 right now, just looking at it. Obviously, it's way early. But their cap space would be just right now, according to our system, it says 24.4 is what their cap space would be, which doesn't seem
next offseason.
Which doesn't seem right. That'll change, obviously, because you're looking at the Texans with a team with like 138 million in cap space, which. I mean, look, if the Texans have a pretty good season here and they hit on the quarterback,
right,
and Will Anderson's the right dude, and then all of a sudden you can go on a free agent spending spree, and fill in some holes. Now the Texans are a viable team in that division because right now they're not.
Yeah,
obviously we know that.
Hope Stroud misses.
Yeah,
when everything is said and done.
Yeah,
you get to deal with our wasteland for a while, Houston. Yeah, you can spend first-round picks on quarterbacks. Good luck with that, right? Like that kind of game there for a while was the one that the Jaguars were playing. But that's interesting. Looking at even the franchise numbers for those guys. Going into next year a little bit there too. Another thought I had, wanted to get your reaction to it, D-Rock, and we'll do that on the other side of a break here. But the question that we can think about as we go through the break is what are the biggest storylines for you still for this football team coming out of their with their offseason coming to a conclusion. The next time we'll see them after next week is going to be training camp, and we may talk to you a time or two again, obviously, between now and the start of training camp. But what are the biggest storylines still going for this Jaguars team as we come out of the offseason here over the course of the next week or so? Mike DeRocco, ET, alongside. I'm Tony Smith. It is a Thursday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010 XL.
Hi, everybody. Mike Dempsey here for Tire Outlet. Are you looking for the best deal in your next set of tires? Why wouldn't you be? Well, Tire Outlet never falls flat. You get it. We offer the best selection, best quality, and best prices on tires so you can find the right ones for your vehicle. And with 40 years of experience, 14 locations around the First Coast, and a legendary price match guarantee, you can trust your vehicle is in great hands no matter what the need. You can go to Tire Outlet, and they'll take care of it for you. Tire Outlet, where you always get wholesale prices and premium service.
This is Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Studios.
JOI, where the pros go. Play-by-play sports just sounds better on radio. For high school, college, and pro sports play-by-play, turn on 1010XL.
What? They did not tell me they were going to do that. I need a new bank.
Well, actually, One-to-One Financial doesn't do the usual bank surprises because we're not a bank. We're a credit union, and that means lower loan interest, things like free checking and member rewards, and, of course, total investment back into our community.
I'm sold.
Find a better way to bank than big banks with One-to-One Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union. Visit 121fcu.org for more information on opening an account today.
Federally insured by NCUA.
Do you have a plumbing problem that's making you feel like a sitting duck? Call Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic. Our team of expert plumbers will have your pipes flowing smoothly in no time. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Beaches Jewelry and Pawn is ready to help. If you need extra cash or a quick loan, Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash in hand. They also love to buy items of value. They need gold, silver coins, and flatware, jewelry, guitars, and of course, guns.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. These intense summer storms are a good reminder to visit the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. Check out Pella's new Hurricane Shield and Defender series. These amazing windows exceed all coastal requirements for storm protection. Seriously, they can withstand the impact of a 2x4 shot out of a cannon at 50 feet per second. You want quality, style, and protection? Visit PellaJacks.com and the showroom on Phillips Highway right next to Tesla. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS right here in Jacksonville is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE Neograft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
Come for the fishing, stay for the fun. I'll see you at the captain's meeting for the old school Kingfish Shootout presented by Dailies and Yellowfin. It's coming up Friday at the St. Augustine Fish House, and then the tournament gets underway on Saturday. Old school indeed, with limited boundaries. You got to catch your own live bait. It's taking a Kingfish tournament back to the old school days. You can be a part of it. Not too late to enter. Make sure you get that entry in this week. Just go to oldschoolkingfish.com. And meanwhile, I'll see you for happy hour at the St. Augustine Fish House coming up on Friday.
Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods, and happy to report that Dandy has some brand new goodies, and they're only available at select Gate stores around town. 5 delicious new breakfast items to start your day off right. Fresh buttermilk biscuits, flaky croissants, French toast, maple waffles, all matched up with country sausage, ham, or bacon, fried eggs, and cheddar cheese. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, so go out and make yours a dandy just a little bit earlier tomorrow.
Got that hometown flavor creeping up on you, yeah.
The IRS
IRS has just received $80 billion in funding to hire additional agents for aggressive collections enforcement. If you owe the IRS, now is the time to take action before the IRS comes after you or your business. There's no time to waste. Call J. David Tax Law, a firm right here in Jacksonville, for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777. Or visit jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away.
Pickett here. After work's done for the day, I know you like to find your favorite sofa or recliner and watch the game. Well, me too. It helps all of us wind down for the day. But I bet you don't clean that upholstery too much, do you? That's why you got to call my friends at Zero Res this month. All upholstery, 25% off the sofa, 25% off the love seat, 25% off the sectional, and of course, 25% off your favorite recliner. Zero Res, man. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. With your 1010XL local sports update brought to you by Southern Oak Insurance. The Florida Gators begin their super regional run tomorrow as they host South Carolina in a best-of-3 series. You'll be able to hear that on 1010 a.m. at 6. And a couple of Florida Gators receive honors, including second baseman Cade Curlin. He has been named Freshman All-American announced by Collegiate Baseball. He becomes the 48th Freshman All-American in program history. In addition, two-way standout Jack Caglione has been named one of 3 finalists for the 2023 Golden Spikes Award. This award is presented annually to the best baseball player in the country. Caglione is in the midst of a record-breaking season, leading the nation with 31 home runs, while also notching a 7-3 record on the mound with the 3rd fewest hits in the SEC. It's 84 degrees at 11:01. Time and Temper brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Jaguars Today
on 1010XL. All Jags, all NFL. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Jaguars reporter for ESPN, Mike Duraco, joining us in the studio here today. I'm Tony Smith, ET, alongside as well. We'll get to some of your thoughts on the biggest storylines for the Jags coming out of the offseason and heading into training camp here in a little over, about, 6 weeks away, something like that, from training camp getting started, a little bit
July
over that.
24, I think, is when the players report.
Something like that, yeah. So the last week there in July is June 8th, so it's still a little bit of time. The real off-season for these guys, they get the month off, right, to go to all their places on the globe here
right
after next week.
By the way, real quick, somebody asked on the text line, I guess, how many players had double-digit sacks last season? 19.
Yeah. Which I think is probably a lower number than most people expect. You know, you got 32 teams in the league, 19. Philadelphia had 4 of them. Right? So outside,
and not a single one in the Super Bowl, which was crazy.
The other 31 teams had 15, right? Outside of the Philadelphia Eagles last year. So it probably happens, I think, less than it's perceived to happen.
Only 15 the year before, though.
Yeah.
15. And it doesn't look like the Chargers actually, the Cardinals had 2 that year. And the Bucks had 2, I think.
Okay.
That's just, it's not as,
I just don't think it happens as often as people perceive it to happen in your head. Now, that doesn't mean that I think it's unreasonable to expect Josh Allen to be a double-digit sack guy. I don't think that's unreasonable.
No.
Because I think we can all look at him and say he's capable of being that. They drafted him to be that. At some point, if they're going to pay him a second contract, you're paying him to be that. Right, and to be that on a pretty consistent basis, if you're going to pay him the kind of money that we've been discussing here, 4 years, $80 million. So I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that kind of thing out of Josh Allen. But you do take a look at, what the sack numbers actually look like in the league, and it's like, oh, okay. Like, it's not crazy that the Jags didn't have a double-digit sack guy. Like, that's not crazy. That's more the norm in the National Football League than it is not the norm for a team to not have that kind of guy. Now, how many of the playoff teams didn't have one? I think it's different, right? Because then you're not talking about the bottom teams in the league. You're talking about where are you against your peers that are among the better teams in the league, and I think it's probably much more rare that playoff teams don't have one double-digit sack guy, right? And expecting a team to repeat that over and over and over again, that their leading sacker is going to be a 7.5 sack guy, and they're going to keep going to the playoffs year after year after year. Probably you're asking too much. At some point, you need somebody that can hit the quarterback more often.
Or you need at least 4 or 5 guys that are in that 9 range. Get close, something. But but that's unreasonable.
Yeah.
But I just looked. 2020, by the way, 10 guys. Wow. That's it. So last year might have been the anomaly in terms of how many double-digit sack guys you get in a season.
Yeah. And when you're going back to 2020, you're back to the 16-game season, so that may affect it to
a little bit,
some degree. But still, the numbers weren't huge in 2021.
No.
With the number of players that were doing it either. So, interesting at least to look at it from that kind of perspective a little bit. What is your overall impression of the 2023 Jaguars based on the limited amount you've been able to see out at OTAs and the rookie minicamp to this point?
That offense should be top 5 in the league. Explosive. I mean, everything that we think it should be. I did not walk away from the ones that I was able to see thinking, I've got some concerns there. I think they'll be able to run the ball better than they did last year. And I think Tank Bigsby is going to be a big-time player for this team. Maybe not completely in 2023, but I think going forward, 2024, 2025, I think Tank Bigsby has got a chance to be every bit the impact guy as Travis Etienne was last year. Now, that doesn't mean both have 1,000 yards, obviously, but I do think that he has a chance to be that kind of an impact player for this team. And defensively, they've got a lot of young guys in that secondary, and, we know the top 4. And, Andre Cisco looks like a guy, he just kind of feels like a guy that's going to have a breakout year. And it just still comes back to me, though, that the pass rush, how are they going to get there? Yasir Abdullah, I hear everyone talks about he's a change of pace rusher, and that's what they were kind of looking for. Okay, I get it. But until the pads come on and until there's some one-on-ones going on, and I can see him get around the edge with that speed or whatever. I don't know who their number 3 pass rusher is going to be. It may be Kayvon Chason, to be honest with you. Who knows? Oof. But that pass rush, it's if the Jags struggle this year and they have to fight to win the division again, and they're struggling to get pressure on the quarterback and they're losing close games, obviously the pass rush is got to be better. It has to be better than it was last year. That's what's going to hold this team back from being a team that can legitimately compete for a Super Bowl, is not being able to get pressure on the quarterback. And we were talking about it off the air. The Eagles last year, 70 sacks, 4 guys with double-digit sacks, and they didn't get Pat Mahomes down in the Super Bowl. They get him down twice. Maybe they win that game. Maybe. Even with Jalen Hurts' fumble. You never know. But the bottom line is Pat Mahomes did what he wanted, and you can't allow that. Pat Mahomes did what he wanted against this team in the divisional. Look, if you want to get to the Super Bowl, you got to go through Mahomes and Burrow and Herbert, and got to get them on the ground. And that's why, the Jags and everyone talks about affecting the quarterback. That's really great. But you got to finish. You got to get them down. And they need a big year from Trayvon Walker. I mean, and that's not anything new here, but this guy was a number 1 pick last year. They need a big year from this kid. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, but he better be the guy that when teams are coming up with an offensive game plan, they go, we got to account for him on every single snap.
Probably the most popular answer to our question of the day to this point has been Trayvon Walker.
Makes sense.
Where we're asking, outside of Trevor Lawrence, what Jaguars player will have the biggest impact on the season here in 2023. It does. I was listening to NFL Live yesterday. We're briefly having a discussion where it wasn't the topic of the segment, but it wound up being kind of the half topic of the segment was kind of the tiers in the AFC, right? And so they had the top tier, which they put Cincinnati and Kansas City and Buffalo, and they put Baltimore in it, right? And I was like, okay. And so then they were like, well, then what's tier 2? And they had Jacksonville there at the top of tier 2. And in my mind, it's what I thought when the schedule came out and the way that it laid out for them was I don't disagree that the Jags right now, it's unfair to look at them and say, okay, they're the top of the second tier in the AFC. I think their schedule and the offensive talent they have on this team playing that schedule should put them in a position that by the time we get to the end of this year, they're hosting a divisional round playoff game, right? I don't think that's too high a bar to set for this team. And it's not because I think, well, they should be 3, right? When everyone's making those lists right now, I think it's fair to have them at 5 among the AFC teams. But I think their schedule dictates that they should be in that number 2 or 3 spot by the time we get to the end of the year, given what they can
play
score.
those teams. They play the Bengals. They play the Bills. They play the Chiefs. They play the Ravens. Yep. So there's your chance. If you want to be that elite team and you want to be that team that does host that divisional playoff game, it's right there. It's right in front of you. But you better get the quarterback on the ground. And that's a little different with Lamar, obviously, because of the run ability. But you better get the quarterback on the ground or you're not going to be able to do it.
No, yeah. It was obviously the difference in the divisional round game. They hurt Patrick Mahomes, and then they couldn't touch Chad Henne for a drive, right?
That drives you crazy, the whole Chad Henne drive, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. How would it not? Drive everybody crazy that drive actually still happened. No matter how much time elapses between then and now, it still happened last year in that playoff game. Want to talk offensive line with you here, D-Rock. We also got news from around the NFL, including at least the illusion that a big-time running back may be hitting the free agency market here sooner rather than later when everything's said and done up there in Minnesota. We'll get into that as we continue along. It's a Thursday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Studios.
JOI, where the pros go.
If your hair is thinning and you're looking for an easy solution that will restore your hair, check out IHRS PRP Platelet-Rich Plasma. PRP, using your own platelets and cells to restore your hair where it's thinning. Combined with their FDA-approved laser hair therapy and pharmaceutical-grade products, all 3 will deliver one better result. Call IHRS now for a free evaluation and to find out if their PRP 45-minute treatment will work for you. Now there is a solution for any man or woman with any degree of hair loss. And it's all in one place. Call 904-777-IHRS. IHRS has been restoring hair for over 30 years. The staff at IHRS knows what it's like to lose their hair. And that's why they're ready to help you grow your hair back.
Schedule your free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
Did you know the 2023 Honda CR-V Hybrid never needs to be plugged in? The onboard system charges the batteries for you. When you think Honda, think hybrid. Good for the environment, great for your budget. Visit your local Honda dealer to experience the CR-V of the future today.
The Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute is now offering online scheduling for new patient appointments for all of their positions. Simply schedule your appointment on your cell phone, tablet, or desktop. JOI is the first orthopedic practice in North Florida to offer this feature to patients. To schedule your appointment online, visit joi.net and click on the button at the top of the page. If you'll be using insurance, be sure and have your information handy. JOI, where the pros go.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. We're your local family jeweler for 46 years in Jacksonville with a huge selection of diamonds, gemstones, and pre-owned Rolex watches. And Monahan Jewelers is your store for expert jewelry repair turned around in 1 or 2 days. Most jewelry stores take 2 weeks or more, and many stores send your jewelry somewhere else for repair. At Monahan Jewelers, our jewelry repair is done in-house by expert craftsmen, and Monahans can turn around most repairs in a day or two. So bring your jewelry repair to Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
I'm Taylor Dahl on your Gator Station. 1010XL is your pipeline to Gator Nation. Listen for the Gator Report all year round.
Brought to you by Darley's Plumbing, where quality counts. On the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gator! Hey folks, you ever search why Shark Coatings is the best? Well, one of the many reasons is our polyurea. We don't just buy it from anyone who has it in stock. We custom blend ours, specializing between summer and winter blend, providing you with the best product for our area. After grinding the concrete, that polyurea will form a permanent bond at the molecular level and will not pull away like epoxy. With Shark Coatings, not only will your garage look awesome, but your pool deck, patio, or driveway will too. See how Shark Coatings can make a difference for you. Call, click, or text today.
How wide is the moon? The answer coming right up.
It's always a good idea to compare homeowners' insurance rates instead of renewing year in and year out. Log on to southernoak.com and get an instant quote in minutes.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The moon is roughly 2,100 miles wide, about a 3-day drive.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
At Batteries Plus, we power family road trips. We power bedtime stories. We power our local hospitals. We power connections with friends. We do more than replace batteries and fix phones and tablets. We help our neighbors power their lives. How powerful is that? Visit Batteries Plus in store, curbside, and online for fast and reliable phone and tablet repair. Learn more at batteriesplus.com.
Are you embarrassed by your ugly, cracked concrete driveway? Need to enhance your home's curb appeal? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Replacing with new stone pavers will transform your driveway into a stunning work of art. Say goodbye to unsightly concrete and hello to beautiful, durable pavers that last for years. Visit Stonecore today and let's beautify your home together. Stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Hey guys, I'm Daniel Heilman from the brand new Fourscore Golf Tavern. We do elevated food, drinks, and golf simulator fun. If you're looking for a delicious meal or maybe a spot for a client, we have lunch specials every day. Need to entertain a few people from out of town? Easy. Just reserve one of our 4 simulator bays. Lunch service starts at 11 a.m. daily. Located in San Marcos Square, we'll see you at lunch at Fourscore Golf Tavern.
Father's Day is coming up, and what better way to show your dad you care than with a gift from Woodcraft? Whether he's a die-hard football fan or a golf enthusiast, we have the tools and supplies to help him create something he'll love. From personalized signs to custom golf club holders, the possibilities are endless. Plus, our experts are always here to help you with any project. So don't drop the ball this Father's Day. Head over to Woodcraft today. Woodcraft, the home of champion dads.
Hi, everybody. Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. You know what? I can see clearly now because Pella has come and replaced all the windows in my home, and man, do they look fantastic. Look, I wouldn't recommend a golf ball crashing into your living room, but it happened to me. I went to Pella. They're the best in the business. Consumer Reports overall top choice for energy efficiency and stylish design. My house feels better, the air conditioning stays inside, and it looks fantastic. Thank you, Pella. Visit the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway next to Tesla or go online to PellaJax.com.
Ever wonder what it's like to drive a real military tank? Check out TankAmerica.com for a badass tank driving experience. That's right, you can drive an actual tank through mud and crush cars. Sounds awesome, right? Visit tankAmerica.com.
Working hard every day to get a little bit better for Duval. This is 1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL. Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Tony Smith, Mike DeRocco, ET here with you. It's Jaguars Today. Mike Dempsey on assignment. He'll be back with us on Monday. I was doing the math when we came in on Monday, T-Rock, and I think Dempsey and I, between now, this week and the end of June, we'll do 5 shows together. With all the vacations we got going on.
Got to get them in this time of year.
Yeah, I'll be in for the first couple days next week. I'm going on a cruise.
Oh, nice.
With some friends. We're going to the Bahamas for a few days.
Do not jump or fall off the ship.
Believe me, I have no intention to. And I saw that, like, as me and my friends were announcing, like, all this cruise stuff. Like, last week you saw the story on the news with the one that, like, the bottom 3 floors were flooded and all. It's like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
you know?
And the guy that just graduated high school, right, was on, like, a senior trip, and he jumped off the boat.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. That's, there's too much booze.
You're not kidding.
Things.
You are not kidding.
Yeah, I think it's what they limit you to, a dozen drinks a day. I think it's what they try to do.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a big cruise guy.
Yeah,
so.
I think it's a dozen. Is on the because I got a drink pass for the cruise, and like the people who bought it, they were like, "Hey, we get a dozen a day." I was like, "A dozen drinks?" I was like, "Are you people nuts?" Like, and the other thing I said was, there is no chance that someone who is drinking their 12th drink and goes back to get 13 has any idea that they've had 12. No.
No.
Right?
No.
And even if the bartender's like, "I'm sorry, sir, you've hit your limit." It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it just started.
Right? Like, it's still 2:30. No, whatever. So, with that kind of thing. Like me, I'll have that, the limit of the dozen drinks a day. I might have 2, right? And be like, you know what, that's enough.
I mean, because this is just alcoholic drinks, right?
Yeah.
It's not like Coke and
I'll have a soda.
Right.
Yeah, bring it on. You know, like that doesn't bother me at all. But
But
12,
you only get 12 alcoholic drinks a day.
Only 12.
Yeah.
Yep. That kind of thing. And I'm not a beer drinker at all. So if I'm having an alcoholic drink, it's going to be liquor, right? So I'm not even getting the benefit of having like a light beer. Right. As one of the 12s. It's just not my thing. I don't enjoy it all that much, but I'm planning on having a good time, obviously, with some friends doing that next week. We do still need to get into how we feel about the question of the day with what Jaguars player will have the biggest impact on the team this year outside of Trevor Lawrence. Before we get into that, though, did want to ask you about some offensive line stuff, right? I think you look at the offense right now. Obviously, they're set at quarterback, it would appear, for a while with Trevor Lawrence.
Won't argue that. Yeah.
Right. They're good enough in the wide receiver and running back rooms that DeAndre Hopkins and here in the next 24 hours, Dalvin Cook can become available and the Jags can go, you know what? We don't have room.
Don't need him.
Right. Like, it's crazy that this franchise is in that kind of position. But in those two rooms, it's not illegitimate that they're in that kind of position. I would still at least hear what DeAndre Hopkins would want, like if it was me making the decisions. But I understand them being like, look, we've explored it to whatever extent we were willing to explore it. It's not going to happen.
See, I'd be more willing to listen to what Cook wanted.
Interesting.
Than Hopkins.
Why?
Well, because there's not enough balls to go around at receiver if you add Hopkins there. Because then you're putting, you don't forget, it's Evan Ingram as well. It's Zay Jones.
Sure.
I mean, I just don't know that there's enough offense to go around that way. And, Hopkins can kind of be a little bit of I guess diva is probably the word, but I mean, you expect that out of some of these elite guys. It is what it is. But I think like Dalvin Cook, I think is a significant upgrade when Dalvin Cook is healthy over ETN and certainly over Tank Bigsby because we don't know what he is yet. But that being said, I don't think they're going to be interested in Dalvin Cook.
No, I don't either.
So
when the DeAndre Hopkins story broke, my reaction was I don't think the Jags are going to have any interest in adding DeAndre Hopkins. I would be pumped if they were. Right? Because I do think when you're looking at the teams that were being talked about with it at the time, where it was Buffalo's taking a look at it, Kansas City's taking a look at it, it's like, okay, the power brokers in the AFC are basically saying, you want to make it an arms race in the conference? We'll play, right? Like doing that kind of thing. And in my mind, I was like, if Jacksonville stepped in and said, you know what, we got DeAndre Hopkins on the one-year deal, I think it would signal to the AFC, which means the NFL, basically. Right. It would signal to the league and to the fan base that we think we can win a championship now. Right? Like, we think we're in a position where we could go get that kind of thing done now. We don't have to build it for 2 years. It would signal that. I'm not saying they don't feel that way in the building already.
Right.
I certainly would expect that they do, but it did feel like one of those things where you're kind of planting a flag saying, yeah, this is for real. We're coming.
If they didn't have Ridley, then I think that would be a move they would have been very, very interested in making.
Sure.
But with Ridley, the question is Ridley at this point better than what you get out of DeAndre Hopkins? And the Jaguars clearly believe Ridley is better at this point.
And I get why you would hit the brakes instead of the gas on it because you do haveRidley. Like, I understand it. I'm not surprised.
It would have been just nice for you to hear that they were cool. Like they had talked to him.
Yeah,
right?
It would have been so cool.
But they do feel like they can win now.
They should. They should. I mean, the 16-1 thing's going to follow me all year long.
You think?
Right? Like, and that's fine. I can deal with that. But the reason I did the 16-1 was because it was about something. It was an idea that I was trying to push. This is a team that ought to be hosting a divisional round playoff game. With the schedule they have, the division they're playing in, they get to play the NFC South. They ought to host a divisional round playoff game this year. And for me, anything less than that, I'd be a little bit disappointed. I'm not saying that the season's a failure if they win the AFC South and have to go to Kansas City again in the divisional round of the playoffs. I'm not saying that it's a failure of a season. I'll say it now, and I'll say it when we get to that point. If we get there, it's a missed opportunity.
Right.
That they didn't take advantage of with the schedule they had.
You've got the Bengals here. You've got the Ravens here. You've got the Chiefs here.
Yeah.
And you've got the Bills in your place, your London place.
The Bills game.
I mean, that's at Tottenham, right? Yeah, that's at Tottenham. But still, I mean, that London's your home game, even though it's technically a road game.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious to see how that looks with a team just staying in London for a week. It makes me nervous.
They did it the first year in 2013. Terrible. Yeah, well, but
the team was terrible. I get that that's part of it. They were just bad, but they did it the first year and said, you know what, this is a bad idea.
This doesn't work.
Yeah.
NFL players, I've said it before, you guys know this, they like routine, especially when you get into the season. And now, you're asking them to spend 12 days on the road is essentially what it will be from the first game to the time they come home. We've all been on business trips that you get to that have been longer, or maybe not all of us, but most of us, a lot of us have been on business trips, long business trips. I used to go cover Florida bowl games. So that was 7-8 days sometimes, just depending on when you would go down in the bowl and all that other stuff. By day 4, you're like, I want to go home. I am, great. It's going to be an exciting game. I love covering the game, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
New York is gorgeous. I've seen enough of it.
Yeah, I mean, I need to be home. I want to sleep in my own bed. Want to see my wife and kids. So I wonder if that's the kind of stuff that's going to creep in to the players. And some of these guys have been over multiple years, multiple times. This is Trevor's 3rd trip to London. So this will be ETN's 2nd. So maybe he'll have a little bit more, that he wants to get done over there. But they also send some of these guys over in the offseason for some, deals and stuff, for some, promotional performances and stuff. But I think that's going to be that's the biggest question for me is at what point do the guys go, I want to go home. I'm tired of this. Because they'll play that Sunday, Then Monday will be like their normal little day. Probably they'll have to do some workout. They've got to move hotels, by the way.
Yep.
So that's an undertaking. And then they'll have Tuesday off. And then it's Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, most of these guys on Friday, they go home. They still do whatever they got to do, but they spend some time with family. Maybe they go out, do whatever. Now, they'll probably go out still in London, but the bottom line is they'll want to be home.
I got a Walker Little question that I'll ask you here in just a moment. But first, E.T., let's take a look at some of the news from around the National Football League. As Ian Rappaport reported on Wednesday that the Minnesota Vikings are receiving calls from teams that are looking to acquire defensive end Danielle Hunter available. There it is. Hunter has made 3 Pro Bowls in the last 4 seasons and will turn 29 in October. Hunter has 1 year remaining on his current deal with the Vikings with a base salary of $4.9 million. News also coming out this morning. It's not unexpected. We were just waiting on when this was going to happen up in Minnesota. But Dalvin Cook, the running back, expected to be released by the Minnesota Vikings. And I think it was Tom Pelissero put out that people can start putting in their calls for Dalvin Cook as a free agent tomorrow at 4 p.m. They're giving it one more day to see if anyone gets desperate and makes some kind of trade offer for the running back. We'll see how that works out for him. Tennessee Titans head coach Mike Vrabel confirmed on Wednesday that free agent wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins will be visiting with the team on Sunday. It's the first announced visit for Hopkins. Atlanta Falcons running back and primary kick and punt returner Avery Williams suffered a torn ACL. He is likely out for the year, according to Falcons head coach Arthur Smith. It was announced on Wednesday that Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen will be on the cover of Madden NFL 24, so good luck fighting the injury bug there. Mr. Allen, former Florida State and New York Giants wide receiver Travis Rudolph was found not guilty Wednesday on 4 charges from a 2021 shooting that left a man dead following a confrontation in his Florida home. His agent made it sound like after all the proceedings there legally were done that he does plan on at least trying to make an attempt to get back onto the football field, but hasn't played at all since 2019, I think was the last time that he was with an NFL football team. But Travis Rudolph found not guilty on those counts, so we'll see what winds up happening with his career. Wanted to ask you a question about Walker Little, and we're deep enough into the segment now. I'll hold it for the other side. We'll get into the Walker Little question and our answers for the question of the day, brought to you by Chad and Sandy Real Estate, that asked, outside of Trevor Lawrence, what Jaguars player will have the biggest impact on the team in the 2023 season? We'll get into all that as we put a bow on a Thursday edition of Jaguars Today next here on 1010 XL.
This is Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Studios.
JOI, where the pros go.
Wrestling fans, the River City Wrestling Con will slam into the Jax Fairgrounds June 10th and 11th. This 2-day event will feature appearances by pro wrestling superstars, exciting wrestling matches, and an assortment of vendors and artists. Guests include Kurt Angle, Saraya, Jake the Snake Roberts, Rob Van Dam, and many more. Get tickets at rivercitywrestlingcon.com or follow on social media for event updates. June 10th and 11th, the River City Wrestling Con at the Fairgrounds.
We've been telling you for almost a year about Nathan's Family Chiropractic and the 100-Year Lifestyle Network. If chronic back or joint pain is keeping you down, don't listen to me. Listen to what Jacksonville is saying about Dr. Alan Nathans.
The stem cell treatment took the pain away.
Changed my life. It's awesome.
Your body just works better when it's aligned. We're believers.
His no-needle regenerative protocols are giving people their lives back. Get yours back, too. Go to the pro in the know. Don't do another cortisone injection. He's one of us, helping all of us for the past 25 years. For more info, drnathans.com.
Catch a wave to the Jacksonville Sharks for their fight against the Fayetteville Mustangs this Saturday, June 10th, 7 o'clock at the VyStar Arena. With tickets as low as $15, you cannot find this kind of affordable fun anywhere else. It's Hawaiian night in the Shark Tank. Stay for the post-game auction to win our Hawaiian Sharks jerseys. Kids, 6 to 16, sign up for a chance to dance with our junior attack dance team. Shark Tank, this Saturday, June 10th, 7 o'clock at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Call 904-621-0700 or check out jacksharks.com. Fins up!
Did you know that many cooling companies are now part of big conglomerates with no connection to Northeast Florida? In the past, they have concentrated on heating and air conditioning, but after a buyout, many add plumbing and electrical services. This raises their overhead, and those costs are passed on to the consumer. It's a case where bigger isn't better, it's just more expensive. Not Mike Merritt's Heating and Air. Mike Merritt remains family-owned and operated. Merritt's focus has been the same for more than 30 years, keeping Northeast Florida comfortable, no matter what the weather. And there are no overtime or weekend surcharges. Mike Merritt's team does not work on commission. They repair only what needs repair and offer replacements only on what can't be fixed. And unlike at giant corporations where you can feel like just another number, with Mike Merritt, you'll feel like number one. Florida license CACO 50384.
Nobody has a passion for football like Tommy Mack.
Okay, let's be honest about something.
Tom McManus.
It's my opinion.
Friday from 10 to noon. Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window on 1010XL.
Find your why in your next career move at the First Coast YMCA. Everyone can get involved and make a difference in your community at the Y. And if you'd like to turn your passion into a fulfilling career, the Y is an equal opportunity employer and is now hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, swim instructors, and more. Plus, Y staff enjoy benefits including free YMCA membership and free childcare while you work. Find your passion, find your why in a career at fcymca.org.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather now hot as can be, look ahead and get that backyard ready for fall with a new open air or screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are the best in the business. So if you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you.
Tired of the same old places for happy hour? Downtown's best is at Bellwether. It's Tuesday through Saturday from 4 to 7, with the exception on Friday when happy hour starts at 11 because why not? For all you late-nighters, Bellwether offers nightcap specials on Friday and Saturday from 9 to 11. Want a snack with your cocktail? Bellwether has a unique bar food spread. And guess what? All metered parking is free after 6 and weekends. That's Bellwether downtown.
Do you have a VA loan? In this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. Hey, it's Prosser here. Do you need cash to pay off credit cards and other high-interest loans? Does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound about right now? Well, Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. Use that money to pay off credit cards, home equity lines, car loans, consolidate all your payments into one check per month, and close in 2 weeks. Most homeowners who do this end up cutting their overall monthly payments by $800. Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs, and they love working with veterans. Call now to see what your options are. Call Loan Pronto at 999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
A face for radio?
1976 called. It wants its hairstyle back.
Decide for yourself. Watch 1010XL on YouTube. Search 1010XL video, all one word, to see shows, podcasts, and more. Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM. All Jags, all NFL. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
It's more my speedy. Right here. Tony Smith, Mike DeRocco, ET here with you on a Thursday edition of Jaguars Today here on 1010XL. One more segment to go here on the program today. Thanks for coming in today, D-Rock.
You're welcome. Always enjoy it, yeah.
Yeah, the usual Thursday spot. We're just getting the season preview
right.
of the regular Thursday appointment with you. Once we get back into preseason football, I guess we'll get you back in each Thursday, and then we'll spend a few weeks doing the prep work for whatever the Breakfast Bowl is going to look like here going into 2023. I got the championship trophy in the in the back there. It's in my locker.
Year 4, right? This is year 4 or year 5?
Is it?
Dempsey won 1. I've won 1. Taylor's won 1.
So 4. So this will be 5.
Yeah, and you've won 1.
And I won 1 last year.
I knew you was going to look over here.
I didn't say a word.
Where
I
else
didn't say a word.
Silent speaks.
Yeah. I didn't say a word. It's just a turn ahead. I got a crick in my necky. I just had to work it out.
There are a few things I look forward to more in football season than E.T. trying to pick a tight end. Like, there
jerk.
may not be much better out there. It's not like I haven't had my tight end woes. I've had guys that have had appendixes burst between Thursday and Saturday.
There's nothing more nerve-wracking than monitoring Twitter from Thursday till Saturday night at like 9, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out which one of your guys got hurt, which one of your guys is, I don't know, missing, lost in the wilderness.
Yeah, doing the draft on Thursday morning and then getting the Thursday afternoon practice report, and some player you picked is on it for the first time that week. You're like, what is this? Like,
why me?
What is happening? Why are they sabotaging my 4-man roster, right, for this particular week? But, yeah, we'll get back into that as we get into the 2023 season. I want to get to some of the answers on, outside of Trevor Lawrence, what Jaguars player will have the biggest impact on the 2023 season here in just a moment. But had a Walker Little question for you. E.T. and I on Monday were having a discussion about what breakout seasons would look like for different guys on the roster, right? And the number E.T. settled on was 5 interceptions for Andre Sisco, right, which is a bunch.
Pretty good, yeah.
That'll put you among the league leaders if you're getting 5 interceptions this year. But okay, I don't think it's unfair. So 5 interceptions for Andre Sisco. We said Trevor Lawrence specifically, like it's that the guy we saw the second half of last season, snap 1, right? And through the entirety of 2023, he played like a top 5 quarterback in the league for the second half of last season. The breakout would be that plus something for the entirety of 2023. That's what a breakout looks like for Trevor Lawrence. For Walker Little, it's a bit more ambiguous, right? Like what a breakout would be for an offensive lineman. But I think the way I wound up defining it in our discussion was that you're confident coming out of 2023 that the Jags have their left tackle for 2024 and beyond. Like it's time to get him a long-term extension. Walker Little's the backside protector for Trevor Lawrence for the next 5 years, right? And feel confident about that coming out of the season. With those 3 guys and those 3 breakout kind of standards, right? The 5 interceptions, top 5 quarterback basically for Trevor Lawrence, and then I feel good about him being the left tackle for 5 years. How would you rank those as far as your confidence that each of them will happen for each of those players?
Oh, wow. I think I'm pretty confident that that's what will happen with Trevor.
Right there with you.
You know, I think that that's a single-digit interception year and upwards of 30 touchdown passes and 4,500-plus yards. I think that's where he's headed. A little bit I'm more confident, I think, in the Walker Little thing, because I would define it, too, as the breakout season would be whenever Cam Robinson gets back, it's not the automatic that Cam just goes back in at left tackle. And we've seen when he's played left tackle, he's played pretty well, Walker Little. So I think that's probably my number 2. And then it's not a knock on Sisco, but interceptions are kind of quirky. They're hard to kind of, sometimes the ball bounces left instead of right. You know what I mean? And you get a deflected interception.
And maybe if you want to say 5 turnovers as opposed to 5 interceptions, which is still a big number for your free safety.
5 turnovers caused or total caused, recovered, intercepted. Yeah. I think that I get a little bit more confident could happen. Because you look at Rayshawn, that ball deflects a different way in the Cowboys game.
For sure.
We're still playing in overtime right now. Who the heck knows? Look, what if the ball, the hit Rayshawn has on Josh Dobbs, and the ball goes backwards, and the Titan, instead of to the left or to Dobbs' right, to the Jags defense's left, and right there for Josh. I mean, those things are so quirky.
Sunday hop.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I probably would have Cisco third on that.
Okay. I think that's pretty fair. I know we had John Shipley and Demetrius Harvey were in with me for the show yesterday, and we were discussing offensive line and, the expectations for Walker Little and different pieces along the line. And specifically, we get it early in his career. He's coming off the ACL injury, right? Hadn't played in a while when he got drafted here a couple years ago, gets picked in the second round, gets here. The whole thing is a disaster, right? His rookie year here in town, but he doesn't get on the field much in his rookie year. So year 2, you're going into the offseason, a year 2 for Walker Little, and it's like, all right, he's going to go win the right tackle job, like June last year, we were saying Walker Little's going to win the right tackle job.
Right.
Well, he didn't, right? And Jawan Taylor even got hurt in training camp with the hamstring, and Walker Little still wasn't good enough at that time to beat out Jawan Taylor. Now, Jawan Taylor went on to get 4 years, $80 million, right? Like he
Right.
played
He
well
had the
enough
best
last
year of his career, by far.
to earn that money from the Kansas City Chiefs. He played well enough to do that kind of thing. This year, they draft Anton Harrison. They're dealing with whatever the Cam Robinson situation is going to be. And so it's, all right, Walker Little can be our left tackle. Cool. Walker Little gets to be the left tackle. And the way I put it was, I want Walker Little to win a position on the offensive line. I'm confident that he can. And I do think, the comment that you made about Cam Robinson when he gets back gets pushed to another position. Yeah, that is it. That is Walker Little winning a position on the offensive line this year, is when Cam gets back, who's a player that they like, right? They franchised him twice, and after the second time they franchised him, got a long-term deal done with Cam Robinson. The organization likes Cam. They're dealing with whatever this suspension is going to be. Walker Little needs to be good enough that when Cam comes off that suspension after 2, 4, 6 games, whatever it is, the team says, want to play left guard? Right? To Cam Robinson, right? Like, Walker needs to have won that left tackle position, I think, here in 2023. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, or the conversation is, hang on, let me make some phone calls and see if you can unload him.
Yeah.
But I think every time that he's played left tackle for the Jags, he's performed better than he has at right tackle.
For sure.
I mean, I think Jeff Logman has been in here, and he's, obviously he understands the nuances of that position, and I think he would agree with that.
Yeah.
That he's some guy. It's not easy to flip tackle spots. Just despite what we say, just go play right, just go play left. See, that's Anton Harrison. Anton Harrison played right tackle, I think, 1 game in college, and he found out like literally day of game he was going to be the right tackle, and didn't practice there at all, and held up his own there. That's college, totally different level here. So it's not easy to flip back and forth. So I don't know that Walker Little gets enough credit for being able to do that and to play okay at right tackle. But he's a left tackle. That's what he is, and he's better there. So if he shows up in the first 4 or 6 games, whatever it is, and he's playing really, really well, the Jags do like Cam Robinson, but if you look at the numbers, he's in the middle of the pack in terms of effectiveness as a left tackle. In terms of pass block win rate, a metric that ESPN uses, he's middle of the pack. So if you've got an upgrade over that guy, keep him. That's going to be a fascinating decision they're going to make. Because what if Anton Harrison is playing well at right tackle, why do you want to take him out?
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe you do just because, Walker Little's played it. He's played okay there, and you tell Anton Harrison, hey, move to left guard. But again, you're asking a rookie to play a position he's never played after you've already spent the entire training camp having him play and learn a position he's never played.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the most logical thing in that scenario would be just either Walker goes to the bench or moves to right tackle. Walker plays right tackle or he stays at left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And Harrison goes to the bench and probably isn't playing left guard.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see just what kind of snaps these guys get at these different positions once we get into training camp and you can actually report about it.
Right.
From out there at OTAs.
At the new facility. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, with where different guys may actually be lined up. But during the OTAs, none of that. Like, you just can't talk about anything.
And that's fine with me, too, because they experiment. OTAs is when you move a lot of guys around.
Oh, for
and
sure.
experiment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's not a ton. If Anton Harrison takes, one drive at left tackle, at left guard, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's where he's going to play all the time. So, I mean, and OTAs is more, for me, OTAs is more skill guys. And maybe that's because I'm simple and I just want to be entertained. Throw the brown thing, catch the brown thing, make me go ooh and ah.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I want out of an OTA.
Sure. Our question of the day asking, outside of Trevor Lawrence, what Jaguars player will have the biggest impact on the Jaguars 2023 season? Let's go around the table quickly with this one. E.T., outside of Trevor Lawrence, what player will have the biggest impact on this team this year?
No doubt, Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, that's going to be my vote.
Yeah. Probably the second most popular answer we got this morning was Calvin Ridley.
I would say Trayvon Walker. I know we talked about him before, but if Trayvon Walker has a really good year and he's up there approaching double-digit sacks, then that means to me that Josh Allen is going to be having a good year and will probably be approaching double-digit sacks as well. And now all of a sudden that pass rush that was a massive weakness for this team that last year is okay and maybe even good enough at times to win you games.
Yeah, I debate. For me, the answer to this, I'm debating still, even to this moment, between Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, as to which I think will be more impactful on the outcome of the season. I think I'm ultimately going to land on Josh Allen because he is the guy going into year 5, and it's kind of the de facto leader of that front, right? He is kind of the voice, one of the voices in the locker room, like all those kind of things. It does feel like to some degree as Josh Allen goes, kind of the defense is going to go. Like, I do feel like he's the rudder for that side of the football at this point and one of the emotional leaders on that side of it as well. So my vote would probably go to Josh Allen as far as who would have the biggest impact. But we got the two most popular answers for sure were Trayvon Walker and Ridley. Yeah, were for sure the two most popular answers that we got this morning. That'll just about do it for us here on Jaguars Today. Let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Tire Outlet. Keeping the sports world spinning with wholesale prices and premium service. Tire Outlet, Jacksonville's largest locally owned automotive repair shop.
How are you this morning, Leon?
What's going on, Tony?
I'm doing...
D-Rock, good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you, too. How are you?
Hey, you're looking well, bro.
Oh, thank you.
Lost a lot of weight, man.
Thank you very much.
Man.
How would you answer our question of the day today, Leon? Outside of Trevor Lawrence, what Jaguars player will have the biggest impact on the Jags 2023 season?
Outside of Trevor Lawrence?
Yep.
Hopefully it's Calvin Ridley.
Okay.
Absolutely Calvin Ridley. I mean, you think about this guy when he was at Atlanta before the suspension, had to be a top 10 receiver. Absolutely a top 10 receiver. And if he can get back to those forms where he's averaging 10 touchdowns and 1,300 yards receiving a game, oh, man, he's going to open the door for not only himself to have that kind of season, but the guys around him. I mean, because where are you going to roll the coverage? You're going to roll to him, you're going to roll to Christian Kirk. Evan Ingram's going to have a say in that. Flowers is going to have a say in that. Everybody is going to be the benefactor of the fact that you got you a true number 1 receiver out there.
Denver got back home court last night with that win at Miami. I'm sure you guys will get into that today. What else are you getting into on XL Primetime?
Well, we're going to have Kevin Hardy on the show. We want to
Nice.
congratulate him. He's on the ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame.
Very cool.
We're going to 94 days till the season starts, so we're going to have Jeremy Mincy on the show.
Mincy?
Mincy, yeah, absolutely. We're going to have him on the show today. And then we're going to probably I'm still a little perturbed that I wasn't on the college football ballot myself, so I'm going to have to make a couple of phone calls down to Miami to understand why the big fella is getting on knob.
The U is not doing its job right there then.
I don't know. I don't want to have to take a trip down 95, but I will.
Like I hear from Leon every day here on 1010XL. This man reps for the U.
I do.
They got to have your back a little bit, too.
Just whisper me in the conversation. I just want to see my name.
Your guy Mario's got to make a phone call.
I don't know, man. You know what I don't want to happen? I don't want to become one of those legacy guys, 20, 30 years from now. It's like, oh, We'll just put them on.
Yeah.
I don't want the video. Give me my flowers now.
Give it now while I can enjoy it. I want it right now. All
That's
right,
right.
Leon, we'll be listening.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
XL Primetime coming up next from noon to 3 here on 1010 XL. What do you got going on here in the next week or two, D-Rock?
Yeah, working on several stories, including one about Fred Taylor in the Hall of Fame. And
Put him in.
Yeah, I'm working on a couple other stories, one about Trent Baalke. And I'm going to be getting my training camp preview stuff all done because I'm going to starting at the end of the month. I'm going to take 3 weeks off, my 3 weeks of vacation, and come back just in time for camp. So looking forward to it, believe it or not. Just want to get through the next couple of weeks, get some vacation time in, and then let's go.
There we go. Well, I appreciate you coming in for the show today. I may be giving you a call the last week of June. Dempsey's going to be out again for
Good
another
Lord.
week in there. So I may reach out to you, see if we can get you in one more time before you hit the vacay there when the calendar flips to July. We'll see what we can do to work out that kind of thing. But again, appreciate it, bud.
Thanks for having me. I always love coming in. Love you.
Love you, D-Rock.
And that'll put a bow on it for us here on Jaguars Today. So for ET, for Mike DeRocco, I'm Tony Smith. For an on-assignment Mike Dempsey, we'll be back with you tomorrow. Tom McManus joining me for Jaguars Today tomorrow from 10 to noon. XL Primetime coming up next on 1010 XL.